Just a few years ago, FaZe Banks was a beloved gaming influencer, but a near unending list of shady business deals and a collection of scams ran on a rabid fanbase of teenagers later, and his career has turned into an absolute train wreck. Just this past July of 2025, Banks stepped down as CEO of FaZe Clan, amid accusations that he scammed fans for a meme crypto project called MLG Coin. But here's the thing, this wasn't the first time that his shady business practices came to light. Banks has been perfecting the art of scamming since the early days of his career, over 10 years ago. To understand how we got here, we need to rewind all the way back to the beginning, because Banks wasn't always who we know him as today. He began as Soar Banks, part of a now nearly extinct gaming clan, and he had always been known for his time in the Call of Duty trickshotting scene back in 2012.
Yo, what's going on guys, it's Banks, and I'm doing a commentary today.
He was just a young kid from Massachusetts who decided to go ahead and try to turn gaming with his friends into a business empire. And honestly, he took the right bet. When Banks joined FaZe Clan in March 2013, he brought something that the organization had been missing, which was his vision. While other gaming channels were just posting raw gameplay footage, Banks saw the bigger picture. He wanted to blend gaming with lifestyle content. And this would turn FaZe from just another Call of Duty clan into a full-blown cultural phenomenon. He had personality, charisma, and he understood that content creation was about more than just hitting trick shots. Banks helped pioneer what we now recognize as modern-day influencer culture, and he essentially created the blueprint for multiple huge gaming organizations that exist today, like for example 100 Thieves. But then, things got interesting, and by interesting, I mean sketchy. Even in these early days, Banks was already showing signs of his entrepreneurial spirit, but the problem was that not all of his business ventures would age well. His very first major controversy takes us back to 2015. You might remember CSGO Wild, and if you don't, consider yourself lucky, because this gambling website was basically designed to separate teenagers from their virtual Counter-Strike skins and their money. Banks and several other FaZe Clan members co-owned CSGO Wild, which was a website where users could gamble for Counter-Strike skins. And at its peak, they confirmed that it was raking in up to $200,000 every single day. But for 4 whole years, Banks denied having any ownership in the site, while promoting the website as his sponsor. You might be thinking, why would he lie about owning a money printing machine? Well, this is where 2 other legacy YouTubers come into play, named T. Martin and Syndicate, who both got torn down and nearly cancelled for their involvement in a similar site called CSGO Lotto. But things would only keep getting worse. Not only were Banks and his friends promoting gambling to their predominantly underage audience without disclosing their ownership, which is highly illegal, but CSGO Wild was also accused of rigging the outcomes, which meant that they allegedly manipulated the odds in their favor whenever promoting the website, while convincing kids to bet their virtual items, who would then be much more likely to lose their money with the original gambling odds. It's the virtual version of playing poker in your own casino while exactly knowing everybody else's hands. And the cherry on top, they allegedly didn't even pay the website's designer. Banks finally admitted to his ownership in 2020, claiming his motivation was to make enough money to buy a CSGO team. Because nothing says, I care about competitive gaming, quite like scamming your audience to fund your esports dreams. Banks did acknowledge that this period took a true mental toll on him. In 2016, he had a very public breakdown.
Yeah, I had a full-blown mental break when I was like 24.
Even getting himself admitted to a mental health facility, after which he would move to LA and start the Cloud House with Rice Gum and Alyssa Violet. This was 2017, which was one of YouTube's peak years, and Banks was right in the thick of it. But what's interesting about this period is that Banks was actually stepping back from the day-to-day operations of FaZe Clan. The organization was growing far beyond what he could handle alone, and they decided to go ahead and bring in actual business people to run their operation. This right here was Banks' chance to stay clean, focus on content creation, and leave the business side to the professionals. But that's not what happened. In 2019, one of FaZe's biggest stars, Tfue, sued the organization over his contract. And when the details went public, it was absolutely wild. We're talking about an 80-20 split, but not in Tfue's favor. For context, most talent agencies take a 20% cut and give the remaining 80% to the creator. FaZe's contract completely flipped this, potentially taking up to 80% of Tfue's earnings. Multiple sources do claim that this contract was never actually enforced, but the fact that it was even in existence was problematic in itself, and it severely limited his career at the time. By this point, FaZe had grown into a massive organization with investors and board members. Banks was still a founder, but he wasn't the one drafting contracts. At the very least, this might be the one scenario where his hands might have potentially been clean. But no matter how you put things, as a co-founder and public face of the organization, he had to eat some of this controversy. And boy did he take it personally.
I've done a lot more than most of you guys probably know, and clearly more than Tfu's given me credit for, or his dad, or his team. I feel like it needs to be talked about, and I need to get it off my fucking chest, or I'm gonna explode.
May 2021 marked Banks' first official journey into promoting cryptocurrencies. And it was about as successful as you'd expect. Banks tweeted his support for a project called Bank Social, calling it a project I mess with heavily and truly believe this is the next one to pop. He then ran a $10,000 giveaway with the project, which, surprise, caused the token to pump before immediately crashing. Banks then deleted the tweets and then claimed he never sold any of his tokens. This was essentially Banks dipping his toes into the waters of crypto, and it should have been a warning sign for what was to come. But instead of learning from this mistake, he doubled down on his involvement in crypto. June 2021 brought us the Save the Kids token scandal, which was somehow even weirder than it sounds. Multiple FaZe members promoted a cryptocurrency that was supposedly for charity. The token launched and then immediately crashed by over 90%, and a blockchain analysis revealed that the promoters were directly involved in the dump. Banks and FaZe Clan quickly distanced themselves from the mess. Each of the involved FaZe members were immediately fired, and Banks maintained that he had zero knowledge of the scam. Based on the evidence that's available, it does seem to be true that Banks wasn't directly involved in Save the Kids. But here's the thing, when multiple members of your organization are running crypto scams, it starts to raise questions about the culture that you've created. This wasn't one rogue actor, it was a pattern. In 2022, FaZe Clan went public through a merger, initially valuing them at $725 million. This was supposed to be the culmination of everything Banks had built, a gaming organization that was so successful that it could trade on the Nasdaq. Instead, the stock price collapsed almost immediately, dropping 99% of its value. By January 2023, FaZe was trading under $1 and faced delisting. The company was burning money faster than you could imagine, with its operating expenses ballooning from $37.1 million in 2021 to $59.4 million in 2022. They were spending millions on LA mansions, parties with influencers, and executive salaries, while their core business model remained to sell more t-shirts and hope for the best. In October 2023, FaZe was finally acquired by GameSquare Holdings for about $16 million, a fraction of its initial valuation. And they chose to appoint Banks as their new CEO, which actually went well for a while. He signed new members like Lacey, Jason the Weed, and Blackboy Max, and FaZe seemed to be recovering, until it didn't. Which brings us to July 2025, and the controversy that finally brought Banks down, MLG Coin. MLG stands for Major League Gaming. It's a brand that used to host legitimate Halo and Call of Duty tournaments, until they got absorbed by Activision Blizzard and essentially died a corporate debt. But this was not related to MLG at all. A random crypto enthusiast launched a token called 360 NoScope 420 Blaze It. Yes, really. On the Solana blockchain in October 2024, branded as the culture coin of gaming. It was basically digital nostalgia bait, which was a play off of old MLG montage memes. Banks saw this bundled mess and decided that this was his ticket back to relevance. But he didn't just promote the coin, he went all in on this project. And he made it his entire identity. He went on to promote it very aggressively and brought it to major streamers like Aiden Ross. In just 5 days, in January 2025, they managed to pump this thing from a $3 million market cap to over $150 million. But then, reality hit. Like every meme coin before it, MLG coin crashed spectacularly, and it wiped out millions in fan investments. And when the dust settled, Banks did what Banks does best. He deflected blame. He threw one of his best friends, Aiden Ross, under the bus in a leaked message that honestly is shocking to say, in which he says, Aiden Ross messed this up. This community dumped on him buying, used him as exit liquidity. His ego got hurt, blamed Frank. Him and Frank got into it privately. Aiden despises Frank and spins and drives a narrative about Frank selling. Somehow this now falls on me and threats to farm the whole situation, spin it into me selling and dumping coins. when I ran the thing up from $3 million to $200 million organically. Top blasted multiple times. Invested a ton of money and never ever sold. The only bad actor in this entire thing is Aiden. Point blank. Period. And to unpack this, exit liquidity means that someone uses you as their ticket out. They pump the price up so they can sell it to you at the peak while you're left holding worthless coins. Banks is literally admitting that his friend was used as a mark and then blamed Aiden for getting upset about it. Aiden Ross then confirmed the screenshot was real but denied he was behind any rug pull. As he said, the bank screenshot is real. It's sad as hell. If you guys think that MLG being rugged was me, I'm sorry to tell you, it wasn't. There's a reason that entire house is silent. The truth will come out eventually. I'm just more hurt on the fact someone I call my brother is behind my back. But wait, it gets even shadier. Banks then tried to play victim, claiming that he was the target of a coordinated smear campaign. He posted screenshots alleging someone was paying $40,000 to $50,000 to spread negative narratives about him on social media. It's as if he started to believe that everyone was out to get him. Banks even posted his trading history, showing he sold his entire MLG position for a $106,000 loss, claiming this proved he wasn't scamming anyone. Saying this has to officially be the worst scam of all time considering I lost 6 figures. But here's the thing, losing money doesn't automatically make you innocent. You can be incompetent and unethical at the same time. Banks essentially brought a heavily bundled sketchy meme coin to one of the biggest streamers in the world, convinced him to buy it live on stream in front of hundreds of thousands of impressionable fans, watched it rise to the top, and then when it all collapsed, he then threw his friend under the bus. Now, while all this was happening, Banks was also running a second content house called Probably Nothing, with various crypto influencers. Their streams were basically just extended advertisements for whatever cryptocurrency they were pushing that week. The house became known for promoting coins that would turn out to be worth probably nothing, as their name suggests. And the MLG coin controversy proved to be the final straw. The backlash was brutal, and Banks announced he was stepping down as CEO of FaZe Clan, even taking a break from the internet entirely.